Hey Isabel! So, this is my first video, pretty exciting. I'm doing this basically, as I said before, to procrastinate packing up my room because I'm leaving. And it's hard, and I don't want to leave because I've been here for 3 months. And you've met my family, they're wonderful. They're so wonderful, and I love them so much, and I don't want to leave. But I know I have to leave. And like, I'm an optimistic person, so it's sort of like, yeah, awesome, I'm gonna go to like the beach every day because I'm living on the beach. That's where I'm living, the next family. And that I'll have a sister, and my mum speaks fluent Italian, so I'll be able to like get boss at speaking Italian. We say more than just like mi chiamo Emily and stuff like that. That was, sorry if Italian people ever watch this. I don't think they will, because this is not going anywhere that Italian people will see it. But yeah. Anyway, so what's been happening? I went to Marseille, which was amazing. You know, 10-hour road trip was kind of long, but I just like read and did stuff like that, so that was fun. And we did some nature walks. There's these awesome walks called the Calanque, which is basically like a rocky trail around the coast of Marseille, and it's honestly, it's so beautiful. It's like unbelievably beautiful. And they're not that long, but like when we were in Marseille, we walked so much. Like there's steps everywhere. It's really mountainous, hilly sort of city. Woo! Anyway, and so we walked like a lot, and I got a little bit fitter. And I'm like all fit now. No jokes. Still me. Still have my little fat baby George. But still. So that was probably really good. And I went swimming in the Mediterranean, like bucket list. Because heck yes. But it was like 10 degrees, and all the people that we were with were like, "Are you Canadian or Norwegian or something?" And I'm like, "No, je suis Australienne." And they're like, I'm Australian. And they were like, "Yeah, I doubt it, because, you know, Australians like the heat, and you're sitting in like 10-degree water." And I'm like, "I don't care." Actually, I was like, "Man, I'm from Geelong, I'll be fine." But yeah, so that was pretty cool. Here's the thing that I really want to talk about though. On exchange, they often, like before you leave, everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, it's gonna be so great, you're gonna have such a wonderful time, and it'll just be perfect, like, oh my gosh, I'm so jealous, like you're gonna try so many new things." And you're like, "Yeah, I'm all for trying new things, it's gonna be great." And then what you imagine is something like a little like this. I have to change my hair to be a bit gay. Not gay, sorry, I don't mean to be racist, but in Australian it's what we say. "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna try like croissants for breakfast, pain au chocolat, yes please. Je suis Australienne. I'm so got this down. Oh, hot French guy. I'm gonna try new things." Whoa. Realised that sounded really seedy. Did not mean to make that seedy. Disclaimer, cut that out. But yeah, so it's sort of like, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna try new things. Especially with food, because it's like completely different. Like they don't have Vegemite here. Who doesn't have Vegemite? It's the best. And they don't have Tim Tams. And like they don't put bread in their soup. Like if you have soup, we make bread and put butter on it and then like dip it, and it tastes really good. They don't do that, and they don't have leftovers for breakfast. Every time I have leftovers for breakfast, my family's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Eating breakfast. What does it look like?" And they're like, "It's pasta." And I'm like, "Yeah, tastes pretty good." They're like, "Ooh, for breakfast. Ooh." Like this morning I had quiche, and my bro was like, "You can't eat that, we had that for dinner last night." And I was like, "And?" He's like, "It's not good for your stomach." And I was like, "Says you while you're eating cake for breakfast." Right. Anyway, so trying new things. we visited a bunch of people in Marseille, and it was like uber cool to visit them all. And we went to my host dad's sister's, like host auntie's place for dinner, and she cooked up something special called paquet, which is like something that used to be made for Christmas, but now it's like just like food. It takes a long time to make, and it's pretty fancy. And she's like, oh yeah, I made this, and it's a French specialty. And I was like, oh okay, cool, up for trying it. And when you look at it, just to give you like a little picture, it's like a big pot, and inside it just sort of looks like a meatball soup. And you're like, oh cool, I like meatballs, I like soup, looks kind of tomato-y, yum. And then you look a little closer, and there's these tiny little bones, like this big, like floating in it. And you're like, like, and when I saw the soup, my brain was like, bones. This is some sort of animal, alright? What small bones are there in the body? I didn't even know it was bones. I was like, what small white things like this big? So my first thought was teeth. Not particularly appetizing, gotta say. My second thought was like spine, maybe? And then I was like, would they have like bones in their feet? I'm not a vet. I just like patting and animals, but like human anatomy, got that. Animal anatomy, not so much. But I was running this through my mind, and I was like, what could this be? What is this? And then I like looked at the meatballs, and they're not like meatballs. They were like these small round balls, but the outside, it was really weird. It was sort of like a lumpy. It was like corrugated meatballs, and it was like smooth, and then with like little ridges in it. And I was like, what is this? So I cut it open, and it was like a rolled up sort of thing with herbs inside it. And I was like, okay. Tried it, ate it, wasn't that bad. Asked what it was. Should not have done that. Really should not have done that. Like it wasn't terrible, but it was sort of eatable. It was eatable. That's not a word. Edible. See, when you're on exchange, your brain just goes like this. You forget words, and it sucks. There we go. Edible. Yeah, it was edible. It was like nice enough. And then I was like, hey, Ariane, what's in this? And she's like, oh, so it's this special delicacy that takes 24 hours to prepare. Basically, what it is each meatball is a sheet of pig's intestine, which they roll in with some herbs and like make it into a little ball. That's how it looks like a meatball. And then it's cooked in a sauce of pig's feet. And that's what the little bones were. They were little bones of a pig's foot. And so she was telling me this, and I'd just eaten it. And I was like, okay, yeah, so it's tripe, it's pig's intestine, little squares of it. Water, Oh, and you might have noticed small white bones. They're actually pig's feet. Ah, yum. So how'd you like it? It was delicious. Really, très très bon. Vraiment. And like, so it wasn't that bad, but it was kind of gross. But along those lines, sorry, I just need to fetch something. Sorry, this is my book. Woo. But because I made a note of weird things that I'd eaten, because I found them really weird. Hold up. It's actually, I got this book in Australia and it's been so good, but it actually just fell apart. And now I'm not not the biggest fan. Alright. Oh yeah. So, try this specialty of Toulouse, which is called boudin. And and how the grandma that fed it to me explained it, like, I'm not being rude when I say grandma, she was like the grandma of my host brothers and sisters. So how grandma explained it to me was she was like, oh, so what we do for this is when we cut off the pig's head, there's a lot of blood that comes out, and so we collect all that blood and we congelate it and make it into a sausage, and that's what you're eating right now. Okay, that... I didn't do that while I was at the table, obviously, because that's horribly rude. Mussels. Mussels is like a specialty of here because I like live near the coast. I don't like mussels. I like mussels. But I don't like mussels. I like oysters. No, I don't even like oysters. I like scallops, but I don't like mussels. Ugh. Two more things. Two more disgusting things that I have eaten. Another specialty of Toulouse called the pig head tête de porc pâté. So pig head pâté. It's kind of like a meatloaf actually, but it's like a meatloaf where they just get like everything except like the bones and cartilage and like teeth. I think eyes. They don't have eyes in it, and they just like mush it from a pig's head. Sorry. They get it from a pig's head and then they just like mush it and turn it into like kind of like a spread. It's not too bad until you eat it and then they tell you what it is and you're like and the final thing that probably would not have been so bad if not for the backstory, because it was actually really nice. It was basically like this meatloaf and I was like, oh, cool. And they were like, I was like, what is this? And they're like, chevreuil pâté, so like deer patty. And I was like, ah, cool, like deer meatloaf. It's like meatloaf, but you know, just a little bit more gamey. I'll try that, sounds good. And then he was like, oh yeah, so what happened with this particular meatloaf was that a friend from work had hit a deer on the road. And it was dead, and it was like a big healthy one, and so she brought it in and hacked it up and gave everyone bits of meat from this roadkill. Great! So yeah, I've eaten all of that, and people tell you that French foods are really great. Most of them are, like 97% of the time. They're amazing, like chocolate and the muesli. Heck yes! And like brioche, heck yes, and just like we just eat chocolate all the time here, which is probably why these pimples are like, whew. But you know, that's life. I'm a 17-year-old girl. I expect to sort of have pimples and be ugly every so often, and I don't care. But yeah, so that's what's been going on in my life. I should probably get back to packing. Woo! I'll see you soon. Oh, did I mention that like I've been packing my bag? You can see it like here. That is not my crotch, that is my bag. Sorry. I probably shouldn't have done that. That was my crotch. That was I'm not sure. That wasn't supposed to be how it turned out. Yeah. Awkward turtle. French people don't have a word for awkward. Or random. It drives me nuts. French people, get onto that. But yeah, so I was zipping up my bag, and like for the first time in my life, in order to close it up properly, I'm actually sitting on my bag, and I had to like sit on it and then like lean around the edges to like zip it, and then like lean and zip and lean and zip. It was pretty intense. I'm gonna call that my exercise for the day. And that's how my life is at the moment. I'll see you on the weekend.